open though.
Are you
Here they come as we're live. Go ahead and ask the question though. You're in the middle of it.
I just wanted to ask, what have you been up to? Like, what do you do? Are you in college or?
I'm getting ready to finish college soon. Within the I have like 3 semesters away. We could talk about it further in detail, but since you even asked, we're getting ready to finish up probably within the next year and a half. Lots of stories and reasons and tribulations of the negative reason as to why I didn't. Episode 84 of the Bottom Line. My name is Davidson Baker. I am the host of this podcast. Championship games just wrapped up. I feel like I'm Bill Simmons, except I didn't start my podcast with all right. The word all right is the first word that always comes out of his mouth for reference. Joining me today, this dude kills it on Twitter with his content. It's awesome. A member of the Ravens flock, or per se, and I know I'm going to probably botch it, so you got to remind me, man. The name of your podcast you host is?
The Back Row Ravens Show.
The Back Row Ravens Show. He's at Hoodie Ramey on Twitter. Goes by more formally as Blake Ramey. What's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's an unfortunate. You said I'm a member of the Ravens flock. It's a very unfortunate time right now. But
well, I mean, dude, your team's in the playoffs. It could be a lot worse.
You could always be a Jets fan or whatever the case may be. But hey, dude, it was a good day of football, though. I'll say that.
Right,
it really was.
It's just, if we're gonna just use one follow up here from you saying that, what's one team that if you're sitting right now and you're a fan of one particular team, and you're saying to yourself, "Damn, it's looking rough right now. I don't have any hope for next year. I don't have any confidence they're going to get it right in the draft." Who is that team? It's probably not Jacksonville. It's probably not the Jets. I believe in Joe Douglas. Who is that team that's got no clue what's going on right now?
I think we're all looking at one team, and I hate to be the guy because I love Deshaun Watson, but it's the Houston Texans.
He ain't able to be involved anymore, bro.
Well, and because a lot of people would say the Jets and the Jags, right? But the Jets and the Jags, like, they have some future over there. You know what I mean?
Dude.
And so the Jaguars, I don't know what their exact record was this year, but you got to think about it. What, 1-15? Yeah, 1-15.
Sure.
So you got to think about it. They have some pretty good building blocks over there. You know what I mean? Miles Jack, James Robinson, DJ Chark. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's some talent. There's definitely some good players in that roster. And then you have an abundance of picks. If Trevor Lawrence turns out to be what he's supposed to, that speaks for itself. And then I'm pretty sure they have like $75 million cap space.
A lot of cap space. Most cap space projected in the National Football League.
Well, and that's important, especially because of this year. The cap is literally in such a it's a mess right now just because of COVID, and no one knows what the final number is going to be at.
Right.
So, they're really the one team that has guaranteed amount of cap space. But, yeah, man, Urban Meyer too. Like, that's another thing.
It's going to be so intriguing to see what he does. And we're going to get into some of our favorite offseason things that we're looking at. A little Matty Stafford talk. Where's he going to go? Was the Washington football team a possible destination? Yeah. We both seem to believe so. A couple of football games did take place today. One of them, first of all, I got beef with meteorologists, right? What happened to this being a snow game, dude? I thought we were going to get some snow. Maybe they just got it wrong. I don't really know how weather works.
I woke up a little late today, and to be honest, I always have a problem with meteorologists because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there's been several times where meteorologists have been wrong about me getting outside or out of school. But man, yeah. I woke up a little late, and I was expecting the field to be covered in snow. It wasn't, and even if it was like a snowy game, I didn't expect it to be a big factor because Brady played in Foxborough his whole career, and I really
25-4. They flashed that on the screen today. It's just like, hey, bro, we're gonna give you the worst conditions. We're gonna give you some snow. It's gonna probably be wet. It's gonna be everything other than ideal. And Brady's just like, oh yeah, 25-4. Under it was like under 34 degrees Fahrenheit. 25-4. Does that seem real? That doesn't seem real.
I thought the whole narrative was played out. Like, I didn't think Lambeau was gonna have an actual impact on Brady.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't either.
I wish that was the primetime game, though. It deserved it 100%. I know the AFC
isn't that a rotation thing, though? Like, I'm not sure, but I think that's like, they flip every year.
Maybe is that what it is?
Maybe.
It's not really unfortunate because that Bills-Chiefs game, man, it was not the game. I didn't expect it to be a good game, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the Bills are a really fantastic team. They beat my team, so right. I got to give the credit. But the Chiefs, the AFC, I think, is the superior conference.
Okay.
But, I mean, there's Kansas City, and then there's everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Baker's a very talented quarterback. Allen's a very talented quarterback. And Lamar's a very talented quarterback. And there's probably some guys I'm forgetting down the list, but they're just not ready yet. You know what I mean?
And it's a weird dynamic too. You look up all of a sudden, and all the advertisements that play on the screens. Everybody loves to fall in love with the look of the quarterback. It's just how the sport has worked. You notice something though when you read between the lines. When you look in the AFC, he's 25, he's 24, he's 26. Oh, the first overall pick in the draft's 25. You look over in the NFC, Russell Wilson's over 30, and he's one of the young guys. Like Breeze is about to retire. And I mean, I get Roethlisberger and Rivers are in the AFC. I'm not talking about this as like something that's in exclusivity, but the AFC is very young at that position. The NFC is very storied and very, savvy at that position. It's a very interesting dynamic. But in the AFC, these are the windows right now that you have to take advantage of. Like when your quarterback is on his rookie contract, your guy's quarterback's going to get paid this offseason. Josh Allen is going to get paid this offseason. I'm not totally positive how much money this guy's going to get, but maybe Baker Mayfield even gets paid this offseason.
Yeah,
I think so.
His contract was definitely up in the air for a good bit, but I think he brought himself back in the conversation. 100%.
It's weird. The day of the Tennessee game, I distinctly remember I tweeted out, I was like, this is a game where Baker's got to look himself in the mirror and be like, hey, man, I'm running out of time. And it's not that I haven't proven I'm the guy yet, but I haven't not proven it, but I haven't proved it yet. Like, for example, and then that game, he played very well. And then that game forward, I think.
I mean, Baker is always going to have that chip on his shoulder. That's just the type of guy he is. But, I mean, to be honest with you, like the quarterback position, it's always been a historically paid position just at potential. Like there's been – I mean, if anybody pays Baker Mayfield, no one's going to even look at the contract and think any type of way about it just because – I mean, I can name several quarterbacks. Glennon, Wentz, Osweiler. There's been several guys.
Osweiler was the first that came to mind for me.
Right. So I think he's a no, especially for Cleveland, because you got to think about it. Everybody knows the quarterback woes Cleveland has had throughout the years. Mm-hmm. So it's like you finally got a guy who's gotten you to the playoffs. He's given you some type of success. You got to come on, sign him. I mean, the same goes for Dallas.
Their guy though,
Oh, dude, Buffalo has their guy, and it's tonight. They should not, especially Josh Allen. They should not hang their head low at all. It was a good performance. They're not ready yet, and I have a lot of pride as a Ravens fan. I've come a long way recognizing that Lamar's just not ready. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mahomes, there's just – how do I describe this? There's several times in the game where Allen has the ball in his hand, and you're looking at Allen like, dude, throw the ball away. Like, Mahomes just has the experience. He's been there. It just looks natural. Like, the game looks slowed down for him. Allen's not ready yet.
33. Like, he looks like he's made 9 Pro Bowls.
Absolutely.
I was saying this earlier today. Like, it looks like Brady and Manning, when they were peak Brady and Manning, was like what? I'm not talking like team wise, but like them being at the highest level of their game. Like probably 2010, 2011 is where we're at. We're at the peak of the apex here, right? He looks like that already. Like he really does. Allen. There are things that he went to work on this offseason. I remember hearing an interview he did earlier this offseason where he said one mechanic coach came in and said, bro, I'm really mad at you right now because I had just met you. And what if I told you there's one little thing that you're doing like with your hips? If I just told you to change this and watch what happens. Well,
yeah, I saw that. And I'm pretty sure I think it's Jordan Palmer. I'm pretty sure.
Palmer is, involved.
They sat down, scanned his body. I mean, they do a lot of work on those quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And they pretty much told him, like, there was like a bunch of quarterbacks there as well. And they went to their quarterback and gave them, like, I guess their critiques. And they were all throwing pretty good. They get to Josh Allen. They're like, dude, you're not even throwing the right way. Like,
yeah, that's the same one. Yeah.
So he
really? I'm not?
Yeah, right. Like, dude, I will say, though, no one looked at Josh Allen last year after the Texans game and was like, this guy's a stud. Like, he has it. He proved a lot of people wrong. Tonight, we didn't see the same Josh Allen we did all year long.
I thought he was close. I thought he was close. I think the accuracy was a problem. There's no doubt.
He didn't look horrible, But I think
The accuracy was a big
I think
problem.
a lot of it was coaching too. Like there were several times in the game, and I tweeted it several times throughout the game. Field goals is not going to beat this team. I can assure you that. I mean, I can go back to, I think it was week 3 of Lamar's MVP year when we played the Chiefs. There were several times where Harbaugh went for it on 4th, didn't get it, or went for 2 and didn't get it, and it ended up costing us. But, I mean, if you get those, it's going to pay dividends at the end of the game.
No, I mean, that right there has to be the mantra all week. Like when you build your game plan against this team, it has to be set upon the very mindset and very ideology that if we kick for 3 and don't punch it in for 6, our chances to lose or our chances to win this game are not great. Like that's got to be beat into my team's head. And obviously, I mean, it's a force of resistance type of game. Like you're not going to come up with 7 on every possession, but that's just the lay of the land. When you go down 24-0, a lot of people forget that this was an actual moment in time. Just about a year ago and a couple of weeks ago, Bill O'Brien was up 24-0 and had the football and decided to fake punt at his own 30. And and I'm excited because we're going to say a couple more things about the AFC moving to the NFC, because there is a coach that definitely deserves to eat some fucking crow on that Green Bay sideline. And it's not Matt LaFleur. As much as people, criticize the field goal, and I don't like it either. There's one coach that I said earlier has to be fired at halftime. I want to finish just a couple of things here with this game, though. Kansas City, you heard it they heard the whispers get louder and louder as the season continued to progress. They're not beating anybody impressively. Oh, look, they beat Atlanta by a field goal. Oh, look, the Panthers were a field goal away. I got to be honest, at least going into it, I didn't make much of it. You start to hear it constantly, though, and you're just like, Atlanta, Carolina, like they just show up and take care of business when it has to happen. Mahomes goes out and Chad Henne does a lot of that is coaching. If you're going to catch this team, whether you're Tampa Bay or not, on any field on any given day, if there are a couple things just in Europe, if there's 2 prerequisites before the game even kicks off that have to happen, like these things have to happen if you're going to beat this team. Maybe needing touchdowns when you go down and get field goals instead is one. What else do you have to do? Like what is that other X factor just from your mind that's saying you have to do this or you've got no shot?
Well, and I really think it sounds ridiculous because it's asking a lot of a football team. You have to be perfect or damn near perfect, and that might not even be enough. It's really scary because, I mean, I'm coming out watching the Chiefs, and I mean, last week, really and truly, the Browns game, that was the perfect opportunity to go and beat that team.
That's right.
And there was a lot of BS that happened. I know when Higgins dives for the pylon and fumbles out of bounds. It is the worst rule, absolutely. I mean, if that doesn't happen, and if they get the score, we all know how that affects the final score. But you have to be perfect. You can't afford to make those bonehead mistakes. Josh Allen is taking sacks 30 yards back. It's just
what was up with that? Why was he taking sacks in fucking Lake Michigan?
He has the same problem as Lamar does. He's trying to hit home runs every single down. It doesn't have to be.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous because you know what? There's a quarterback in my mind that I think of that really not only fell victim to that particular roadblock this year, but it really hurt his play. Carson Wentz became a slave to that very thing this year. It could be very, very dangerous for quarterbacks to go down that road. I'm starting to see, and Wentz, I think, is the perfect example.
Yeah, truth be told, I'm a sucker for Wentz, man. I like Carson Wentz a lot.
I did too, and I haven't given up on him, but man, he drives me nuts when I watch him play. Drives me crazy.
And one of the worst things a quarterback can do, especially a young one, because Mahomes had the same flaws. I can remember several times in this, because he doesn't turn the ball over often, but I can remember several times in his career where he just forced the ball downfield. But I'm telling you, this guy, as he just gets better every single game, he doesn't make those unforced errors. And if he does, it's very rare.
Very rare. Like, it's very Belichickian, right? Like, it's like we're never going to beat ourselves, and you come to expect it. Penalties go down. That's another thing I wanted to point out before we move on to the NFC, because one of the big topics about the NFC title game today was the fact that they let them play. What was the official count in the AFC? There were 7 penalties combined in the AFC title game. for 70 yards. Look like, and we'll go ahead and lead the NFC title game with this. Here, the last play where Lazard, who is making that, or who was, hold on. Who was the receiver? Was it Lazard? Was it Valdez-Scantling? I can't remember.
I think it was Lazard. I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking of the complete wrong side of the ball. Kevin King is I'm thinking of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay on the holding play. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. On the holding play that absolutely screwed Green Bay, kind of. I mean, it was definitely a holding play, but the flag came in like after everybody had gone home. Like the flag was so late. It was embarrassingly late.
You're talking about the in the fourth quarter, right? Like one of the last plays down the stretch.
Yeah, the nail on the coffin.
It wasn't Godwin or Evans, I don't believe. I forget.
Maybe it was Tyler Johnson. I know they've been.
It could have been Tyler Johnson, but that was.
And here's my thing, dude. I don't blame the guy from 25 yards. That's what I saw on Twitter. Is like, why is the guy from 30 yards away throwing the flag? Because he's trying to save everyone else's ass. He's looking at all the other refs like, guys, we've thrown 3 of these today. Are we really going to screw it up here? No, I've got to throw this flag. I don't care where I am.
And there were several calls during the game because, like, I remember when it happened. Like, it is definitely a flag. Like, this guy has probably 15 inches of his jersey pulled out. Yeah. It is 100% a flag. I don't care if it – well, and the big argument was, well, the ball wasn't catchable. Okay, so if the ball's not catchable, why is he doing all that extracurricular, pulling of the jersey? He doesn't have to. That's a bonehead mistake. Like, he doesn't need to do all that. And even if the ball isn't catchable, that's defensive holding. So
he was the GOAT today, man. He cost them on multiple occasions.
Dude, I'm pretty sure he was on Scotty Miller at the end of the half. I'm pretty sure that was him.
So that was him. And yeah, he got burned. I took issue with Stephen A. Smith tweeting out that was a dumb play by Kevin King. Let's make one thing very, very clear.
Get him.
That was not a dumb play by Kevin King. At what point does anything dumb come from the fact that you just got burned by Scotty Miller? Does that mean your IQ is less than someone else's? Absolutely not. You know whose IQ, though, is probably less than other people's? How about Mike Pettin for pulling a Greg Williams right there and running a cover 1? Well, when it's the last play potentially of the half, and all one guy has to do is, boop, I've got this angle towards the end zone. Hey, Tom Brady, throw me the ball, touchdown. How do you not see that coming?
Come to terms with the fact that Stephen A. knows nothing about football.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's whatever. I literally ignore everything the guy says now. But, dude. I mean, what was there, 4 seconds left on the clock?
The coordinator has to be fired on the sideline. I'm sorry.
You should be cover 4, cover 6 in the end zone. It's really nothing. It's really elementary. It's nothing like – it's very basic play call.
It's nothing that blows yours or I's mind.
It should be one of those things where it's like not even a discussion in the huddle. It should be period, play, end zone. That's what it is. Just don't let them score because they can't even stop the clock for a field goal. Just play the end zone. I know we had a conversation earlier about guys that are just not very they don't play with guys. Big football guys.
Big bite off kneecap guys.
Of course, the guys who had the 2 biggest bonehead play calls this year are 2 football guys, Greg Williams and Mike Pettin. So
it's mostly the defensive coordinators too, right? Like the big, we're gonna put the quarterback on his ass, and the guy in his head is like, yeah, you tell him this isn't really about the team. This is about you looking like a badass. Like,
it'll never make sense to me. And there's a laundry list of reasons Green Bay lost this game. A lot of it was shooting themselves in the foot. A lot of it was refs. But one thing I'll demand out of refs, all I want is consistency. You know what I mean? They can't be perfect, and I get it. But there were several game-changing calls that they could have made today. I think it was Sean Murphy.
There was the one, there was a blatant PI.
Dude, Sean Murphy Bunting's really got an interception because of defensive holding.
Yeah.
And they're not going to call it.
PI.
There was, Aaron Jones fumbling. There was there was several different things. And Aaron Rodgers, man, the field goal. That was another. I was driving in the car. I was trying to look at the game. But then I saw the actual visual of Aaron Rodgers, like where he could have taken off and ran the ball. It's not very often Aaron Rodgers makes a mistake. That was very, very bad. And people are saying,
"Oh, well, potentially a mistake." I agree with that and here's why: risk factor is important as a quarterback. You know what else is important as a quarterback? Confidence. And guess who's got a lot of it? 12 in green. He's got a bit of it. And how many times have we seen him before take off and pick up those first downs? Like,
Aaron Rodgers could have made that play.
Oh, and he's done it how many times before? We've seen him do it a million times. That's got to be something he's going to see in the film room and be like, you know what? Yeah, everybody's probably right.
I saw
really
some guy on my timeline say like he's however old he is, like 30, it's high 30s. He's not making that play. Look, Aaron Rodgers.
He's making that play.
He'll surprise you with the wheels he has for his age.
He's making that play.
He can roll, man. But I would have loved to see Green Bay in that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I thought they were a team that could have went blow for blow. I think the Buccaneers can do it. It's just, I don't know. I'm a big A-Rod guy. I'm assuming, I don't know if you watched the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I mean,
that's my dude. Yeah. I've grown to, I've always had an immense amount of respect for Aaron Rodgers. But, dude, those Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays, they're awesome, man.
They kind of change your perspective a little bit about him, yeah.
Well, I agree with that. And now I'm seeing a bunch of Aaron Rodgers trade rumor. Like, dude.
Oh, here we go again. I'm glad you brought that up. Here we go again. So, I want to find the clip from the offseason, right, where I think it was on the McAfee show. I also weirdly remember maybe it being like Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd, where it's like, you obviously are going to trade him down the line if you're taking a quarterback in the first round, unless he's playing at an MVP level. Think about that statement for a second. Last summer, you're thinking, thinking Aaron Rodgers is going to play at an MVP level. Is it out of the realm of possibility? Well, no, but that guy was going what in fantasy drafts? 11th or 12th? People aren't going to look themselves in the mirror and admit it now because hindsight's 2020. But at the beginning of the season, no one was saying he was going to win the MVP. None of us were.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was down on my list, and I don't think it's really his fault. I think it's a lot of and to be honest with you, he's not going to get traded.
No.
It's just not going to happen. No. But, LaFleur did his interview. He said, like, I would hope he's still going to be here. And Aaron Rodgers, I think he's just emotional because he said something along the lines like, my future is in question. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is going to be there next year. I can almost assure you of that.
He's going to be there next year, but this is what creates such an interesting dynamic, though. Like, and Gutekunst knew this not only when he took Love, because I said it at the time.
Oh, dude.
I don't hate the fact that they took Love. Okay, like that's not my problem here. I like Love. Like, he's a guy you watch on tape and you're like, okay, like how long is it going to take for this guy to be what he can be? But that's the proper thing. What he can be.
Well, man, he was one of those guys, and I think I'm not sure like how familiar you are with draft prospects this year, but Trey Lance out of North Dakota,
very similar,
very very similar, just
very similar
raw talent, athletic, makes big throws.
I would say Love is even. I would say just from my preliminary observations of both of those two in particular, because they are similar, and I'm glad you said Lance. I would make the argument Love is more ready to take, and not because he's been in the NFL. I would have said this a year ago today. I think Love is more pro ready right now. And that brings me to my point. He's got to get on the field at some point, and the clock is ticking, and it has been ticking. And that elephant is getting bigger and bigger in that room. So yes, while it be obviously insane for them to do anything outside of Aaron Rodgers taking the first snap of the first game next season, everything I just said is still on the table, period. Because that was the bed you made. That was the decision you made. So now you got to live with it.
And I really don't see this being another Favre Rodgers ordeal because it's not. I mean, Rodgers has even said on the McAfee show he's not bothered by it. I would imagine
he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. But the day of reckoning is coming, though. In my opinion, it's probably not next year. But the clock is ticking. Make no mistake about it.
And the clock is ticking, but could you blame Aaron Rodgers if he wanted out of Green Bay?
No, I could not.
Because you just picked Jordan Love when your quarterback has shown absolutely no decline. You could have chose T. Higgins, and even the second round.
Oh, my God.
Even in
How about taking a wide receiver in the 6th?
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? In the second, I'm pretty sure they took Dylan.
They took Dylan, and that looked dumb at first, but I think that ended up looking okay.
It's a good pick. But you could have had Claypool. You could have had Claypool won the 4th. So you could have had, I don't know what their pick. I know they took a tight end at some point who got hurt.
Yeah, they took a blocking, primarily like an H-back tight end too. Like,
so it was honestly, I remember my thoughts during the draft. It was a horrible draft, and it really still is to me to this day, especially now because Aaron Rodgers is about to win an MVP. Mm-hmm. But my belief, that day of reckoning is coming. But, I mean, you can put Aaron Rodgers in any jersey. He's going to go ball.
Yeah.
So Just if you want to be the one to, I mean, Green Bay fans are going to be livid, especially if Jordan Love comes in there and stinks. So, I mean, they're in a tough decision or a tough situation. They put themselves in that situation. Rodgers is going to be back. I don't know when he's going to leave because he's literally showing no decline. And I don't know, next year, he's coming off an MVP. So I think he'll do worse next year, but I don't know how you're going to top it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
This year is really, man, he set the bar.
I do get that.
Well, because I thought it was Mahomes' undisputed MVP, and then Rodgers,
for a while,
and he just started lighting it
away
up.
from him. I agree. He wrestled it away from him kind of towards the end. But I mean, it's not that he wasn't playing on that level. I think, obviously their season is over, so now that's kind of the sky is falling scenario. But the sky was falling when they lost to Minnesota at home, right? That's when everyone was like, "Oh, here are all the flaws." Like, do you want to know how to beat this team? Watch this tape. Like, this is the one. I think a lot of those flaws were exposed today. Don't make any mistake about it. You've got to have a good defense, like to beat this team. You're not going to outscore Green Bay. Like, you've got to have a defense that has actual talented players if you're going to win.
And I mean, even that Packers team last year when the Niners went to the Super Bowl, like the Packers just were put in the unfortunate situation of playing the Niners. Like the Niners were just
run to save
they were just a dominant team, and that's what it was. But that Packers team, and they've gotten bailed out because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. But they have failed him. I mean, Devontae, they got
in a
lucky.
large way. I agree.
They really have failed him. I thought that before, but what really sold me on that was, I don't know if you remember this graphic, but it's the amount of first-round receivers Rodgers has played with in his career. 0. Literally 0. Devontae.
And I think if you're Green Bay, I mean, Devontae probably, if he goes to a bigger school, is a first round guy. I mean, he's got size, like all that. Like the reason he wasn't a first round guy is because he graduated from Fresno State University. Make no mistake about it. But Aaron, look, think about it. It's tough to even go back and remember, him versus Alex Smith in 2005 in the NFL draft, and Alex Smith was kind of that late. He kind of came in late and stole the number one spot from Aaron Rodgers because everyone thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be the number one quarterback. But then here's Aaron's problem. Teams 2 through 24, which doesn't happen in a whole lot of drafts, like ever. Teams 2 through 24, none of them need a quarterback. Literally none of them at all. So he just falls and falls and falls. What makes this situation completely different from the Favre one is that they didn't have Love fall into their lap. They could have made the team better right there. And what Gutekunst and Ted Thompson, rest in peace. I know he passed away last week, Super Bowl winning champion, GM for the Green Bay Packers. Part of me believes that maybe Ted Thompson, if he would have had any advice to give to Gutekunst, it could have been along the lines of something like, "Hey, man, one Super Bowl ring is always going to be good. If you gave this guy a Calvin Johnson, if you gave this guy like a Julio Jones, did you ever think about that? How many rings could it be? 2, 3?
Oh, dude, he's played with some guys. He's turned into some stars like
Jordy Nelson. What about that guy as a wide receiver 1? What about it?
It's
work ethic and grit. Come on, man.
Even going back to what I said, Claypool. If they would have selected Claypool, dude, he would have had some fun with Chase Claypool. Claypool, as much as I hate to admit it, because he's a Steeler, he's a beast, dude. He's
a stud.
He's a freak athlete, dude. And the Steelers, I don't know what they're doing over there, dude. Just
let's lead into talking about this though with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they kind of had their hand. Look, Dwayne Haskins might not be the future quarterback in Pittsburgh, but I do find the particular team adding the particular guy interesting. Let's run through a few quarterbacks as we kind of get into the latter parts of this podcast here. We were talking earlier, Watson is getting ready to blow that whole ship down there in Houston. Whether that's deserved by Cal McNair, probably is. You shouldn't have a pastor in the owner's box every week. That's just, I feel like that's common sense. Does that not like completely fascinate you, like the whole Easter bee thing? I want to know everything about it just because I'm so baffled.
They are, dude. That is the worst organization in sports.
They took the mantle. No, I think they took the torch, and if they weren't that, coming into like the last 6 to 12 months, they've got that crown right now. I agree.
It's really just bad business. Look, especially for a guy like Deshaun Watson, who could have been out of there a while. Like Deshaun Watson, he didn't have to. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. You go to an AFC divisional game and you're up 24 to is 24-28.
24-0.
24-0 on the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
So that they were that was a pretty good team. They probably weren't as good as everyone thought, like just from a talent perspective on the roster compared to everybody else.
Pretty much AFC championship good.
But dude, like they were legitimately making they almost beat the best team in the league by a large margin. I mean, they just let off the gas tank, the fake punt, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But your whole thing is to trade DeAndre Hopkins. That's your dude. That caught me off guard. I remember.
How can you analyze the Hopkins trade though? Right? Like how do you analyze the Hopkins trade? Because look, we knew it was dumb at the time. Oh my God! Newsflash! Fast forward 12 months, it was dumb. Oh my God! Big surprise! Like, how do you analyze that? How do you? Rich Eisen says it all the time. When my kids in 10 years ask me about that trade, Dad, how do you not ask for a 1? What do I tell them? Like, how do you not ask for a first-round pick?
Well, and the real stinger for me. So I read that he's getting traded. And I'm like, wow, really? And then I read the deep because when the trades always break, the news of just the deal is broken. So you don't know what. So they got DeAndre Hopkins. What are they trading? Oh, only a second rounder and David
Johnson.
the guy who hasn't played in 2 years and towards ACL. I don't know. And then the real stinger for me personally, the draft. It was draft day, I believe, before the first round. I think it was Michael Silver broke it. He said there was one team besides the Cardinals who were very, very close to trading for DeAndre Hopkins, the Baltimore Ravens. That one stung. That one stung, truthfully.
Dude, and here's the thing, Baltimore, it's not that Baltimore has not shown their hand as far as making it clear and obvious. We know we need a physical threat on the outside because they've done the Des Bryant thing now. We heard them talk about Antonio Brown. You hear the rumors with this. It's if you're trying to play poker, you're not very good at it. You're showing us your hand. We know you need a receiver. You know you need a receiver, okay? You just go get one. DaCosta, you've done this before, man. Just go get him.
There have been a lot of guys we've missed out. Jarvis Landry, Thielen, Diggs, D-Hop. The list goes on, and every time we miss out, I get more hurt by it. But and like you said, it's not we know we need one. We've known that for years, and it's not just a problem now. It was a problem with Flacco. And then look what happens when you put the right weapons around Flacco. Bolden, Pitta, Torrey, win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I think the big misconception for a lot of people is that Baltimore is defense, and we were. But that Super Bowl year, dude, that was all Joe.
Flacco was throwing the ball.
And to be honest with you, again, I've come a long way as a fan. Lamar needs to make his progressions as a thrower, as a quarterback, really. Just again, going back to the situational awareness, and knowing when to take a sack, knowing when to hit your check down. But I don't know how much more you can keep failing your franchise guy. You know what I mean? You picked Lamar to be your franchise quarterback, and this goes for any organization. You do whatever means necessary. Put the best around him, protect him, whatever the case may be. And look, Mahomes, I don't want to discredit him because he's earned everything he has. He landed in the perfect situation
with the organization that knows exactly how to do exactly what we're saying.
People have. I don't want to cut you off. So
you're good. You're good.
So a lot of people have short-term memory loss. The Chiefs before Mahomes, they did not have a good reputation. Everybody knew them as the playoff chokers. Just they couldn't get to the next level. That's what it was.
Yeah, they went 50 years without a ring.
And look, Andy Reid was always well respected as a great coach, but dude, Mahomes has put him on a whole nother level, and vice versa. Yeah. I don't think Mahomes is a product of a system. I don't want to make that seem like what I'm trying to get at. But Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, he landed in the perfect spot.
Okay, now I'm glad you bring up Kelsey and Hill. There was a room that was completely split down the middle that I was in the other day on this argument. I could be incorrect. Hell, even if I am, let's just play this game for a second. I believe off the top of my head, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill at the end of next season, just if you weren't going to re-sign them, are scheduled to become free agents. One of them stays, one of them goes. Who are you keeping? I'm talking room split down the middle. And like one room, one side's calling the other side idiots, the other one's calling the other side idiots. Here's my thing. It's so hard to make this decision solely because of the fact that these two guys are two guys that are very unlike anybody else. Like there are no other Tyreek Hills. I mean, Kittle is probably the only thing close to Kelce. Like,
well, you know, I didn't.
Who are you taking?
It's funny. I didn't even have to think about it. I didn't think about it. Tyreek Hill. I'm taking.
I agree.
Dude, Tyreek
Hill, no doubt about it.
Tyreek
Hill,
you
keep him no matter what.
Look, Travis Kelce is probably putting himself on pace to be the greatest tight end ever, and
he's doing Tony Gonzalez shit, no doubt.
There will never, ever be another Tyreek Hill.
I agree. That's why you have to hang on to him.
He's a walking muscle. He literally does. He makes everything. Well, so just my guess. I'm not a defensive coach. When the defensive coordinators get in the defense or like the room with all their guys and their
a whole lot of this.
It's a whole lot of
I don't know, guys.
Look, it's Tyreek Hill. Like that's who you're looking at because he is the game breaker. Look. You could be playing great defense on the Chiefs all game long, and then you get hit 70 yards, Tyreek Hill. Well,
he's the definition of one play.
It just happened last game. Mm-hmm. There was that play. I don't know exactly what the route was, but it looked like it was just be a small little gain, just first down, move the sticks. The dude takes it first. It makes what guy missed, takes it for like 70 yards. I'm like, he's truly one of a kind.
And that's exactly why he's one of a kind. You don't see other guys do that. No one else has ever done that. Like, no one else has ever done that at the clip that he's done that.
Like, Travis Kelce, again, he's probably going to be the greatest tight end of all time, and I get that. But, I mean, you could throw Mark Andrews in that offense, and I don't think they'd skip a beat. I really don't.
I really don't think they do either. Now, Kelce, the more talented player, yes. I don't want that to be misconstrued. I love my man Mark Andrews, but he's not Kelce. However, I agree with you. Like, you take Tyreek Hill out of that offense, Andy Reid's got a lot of thinking to do because a lot of those, like, quote-unquote cheat codes, like, a lot of those things, let's be very honest, like, football is not a fuck-it sport by any means necessary. Like, in very little of a percentage, if ever at all, do you ever come out of a fuck it situation in football where you got something good happening at the end? Like, very rarely. Well, but the Chiefs have that, like, aura a little bit. Like, they have that, like, fuck it. Oh, we're down 24-0. You guys want to start trying? Fuck it. Like, okay.
And I said you were in this argument with these people, and I mean, you were on the Tyreek Hill side.
It's a passionate one, man.
I can think of that. That's a good argument because there's a lot of people that'll make a great argument for Kelce, and there's really no wrong answer. But I mean, a lot of those plays that the Chiefs run work because of Tyreek Hill. Like, and there's a lot of games that the Chiefs wouldn't have won if it was for Tyreek Hill. Like, there's a game that we played against them, and you can remember the throw was like a 4-13. Mahomes rolls out, and the ball's in the air. I'm thinking we have a game won. Tyreek Hill just falls right under it. The Super Bowl last year, you watched that game because I know you're. Tyreek Hill probably won them that game. So he's a player that no one can guard, and the thing that's scary about the Chiefs, and I say this for a lot of guys. So when you go and play the Bills, they have guys like Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley, not guys that'll scare you, but Diggs, right?
Respectable football players. Diggs will scare you.
You're looking at Diggs, and you're like, okay, well, we're not going to completely shut him down. We just got to hope to contain him. Then you go play
shut the other guys down, though.
And then you go play the Chiefs, and you're like, okay, well, Travis Kelce, we're not going to really stop him. We have to contain him. Same for Tyreek. You're not going to stop him. We have to contain him. So they just got some serious game breakers. And I said this. I tweeted during the game, and I've said it for the past couple months, and I'll remain strong in this. Tyreek Hill is the best playmaker in football. It's not even close. He's the biggest game breaker. It's when I play the Chiefs personally, like my team, I'm not really freaking out about Kelce. I'm freaking about Tyreek. Because whenever I see Mahomes load up that cannon, I know Tyreek's on the other end of it, 100%.
It takes two to tango. And yes, while he is the game breaker, he's the X factor. Having a guy like Mahomes is the only thing that makes it
And
work.
I know we're talking about this QB carousel, and a guy we mentioned before who's very similar to Mahomes, and I wish he would have got a very look. I think they're very comparable, just how they play and the arm talent. Stafford never got that.
Let's talk about an organization that needs a lesson on setting people up for success, i.e. the Detroit Lions. Hey, man. Dude, the 2008, the Dan Campbell thing is my favorite thing of this week. Dude, look, I lived before I moved back down because Oklahoma is my home. I lived in Ohio though for a very long time. I graduated high school in Ohio. I started college in Ohio, like right on the Michigan line. So like we're closer to Detroit. A lot of Lions fans. I obviously don't understand their pain. I heard them talk about it though. I listened to them say things about it. I was living in the Midwest when they went 0-16. They were on locally, like. Stafford the very next year comes in, breaks his damn How about this? Hold on. People forgot this happened. Stafford breaks his collarbone against the Browns on a play. All right.
Oh,
this is how dysfunctional this organization is. Breaks his collarbone. Pass interference takes him all the way down to the 1 yard line. They can win the game. My quarterback's got a broken collarbone. What am I doing on one play to win the game on the 1 yard line? I don't want my guy with a broken collarbone to throw it, right? I just need 1 yard. What do the Lions do?
Dude.
They got the touchdown.
I'm not going to lie.
But they throw it.
Dude, that clip is actually one of the most legendary clips I've ever seen. Stafford says, "Get off me." He gets up, throws a touchdown.
Yeah.
And Stafford.
He's like, "Are you kidding me? They called a pass. I have no cartilage right here." Like,
if there's anybody in sports who deserves to be like,
dude,
like to get out of a horrible situation, it's that dude. Well, and again, I know you watched the Pat McAfee show, and I forget who said it. I think it was maybe Hawk. He said Stafford's not the type of guy who will like speak up and speak his mind and try to get out of a situation, but I mean. I think it goes a long way because I know ex-players like Barry Sanders. Eventually, he got over all the drama that happened years ago, and he now assists the organization in making decisions. Calvin Johnson literally wants nothing to do with them, and I get it. But I hope one day he'll come around because Calvin Johnson's my favorite receiver ever.
We're talking about the nice of all nice guys too. Have you ever heard Nate Burleson's story about him? How he'd like purposely, how Calvin Johnson would like purposely like. He'd be getting ready to break the record for bench reps, and he'd purposely stop. And like Burleson would walk over to him and be like, "I saw that. You purposely stopped. Like you could have done 10 to 20 more." He's like, "Yeah, you saw that." But he did it to like keep their confidence up and like keep his teammates to rise up. Like the Detroit Lions did not deserve that.
Dude,
they did not deserve to take that. Not only generational talent,
dude,
generational human being in Calvin Johnson.
They have ruined two of my favorite non-Raven players of all time, Calvin Johnson and Barry. Like arguably the two best at their position. I think you can make more of a case for Barry at running back than Calvin at wide receiver. But dude, Calvin, both of them, they retired early.
Barry was on his way to training camp, turned the car around. It's like can't do it. And Stafford would be good in multiple situations, right? Like as far as like if I'm Matthew Stafford, I get to look myself in the mirror and be like, okay, well, now I'm in a new situation. And yes, there is a problem per se with putting my stock in my quarterback. And if I'm in that locker room, that maybe has that Stafford type of mindset. However, a team that a lot of people are kind of associating Stafford with right now, the New England Patriots, let's just say, those opt-outs come back. You think Dante Hightower is going to have a problem being like, "Oh, Stafford don't want to say anything"? That's fine, guys. I got this. Give me 1 sec. You think he's going to have? You think he's going to have a problem with that? No. You think Patrick Young's going to have a problem with that? No.
No.
So I'm not worried about that particularly. Certain
Stafford's a guy like I don't want to see any burning of the jersey videos. Like, dude, that guy is a legend in Detroit. He deserves all the credit in the world. And to be honest with you, I don't really care what other organizations do. To be honest with you. But I would have felt some type of way just as a football fan.
Lions fans have got to be like, "God, man, I'm sorry." Like, I'm sorry, bro.
Because they mutually agreed to part ways. And if they would have given him any type of hard time about like leaving, dude, I would have been pissed.
Every Lions fan that I know is like, just like, we're sorry. Like, you know,
I mean, dude, 12
we're sorry.
I'm not going to lie. He might be one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen. And 12 seasons, 3 playoff appearances.
But did they win one playoff? Did they win one playoff game? I really can't remember if they won one.
I think it was one. I think. But I'm not even 100% sure. And he was a first overall pick.
Think back to the depths that they were at, though, when they selected him. It was off the 0-16 season. I just happened to this week. There's an awesome, God bless this guy, because it had to have taken so much time. But he burned all of the recordings that he saved on his DVR that season of the biggest and most memorable media clips and what have you about the 0-16 Lions. It's 4.5 hours long. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched about 2 hours of it because I was fascinated by it this week. Well, man, you go back and think about it. If you just look at that roster, it's just like, oh my Lord. Like, unbelievable that this is a collective of guys that were put out to go beat other pro football teams. How?
And then all the discussions start of, could this college team beat, you know what I mean? So
you know Rob Parker that does FS1?
Yeah.
I had no idea this even took place. Bro, when you get to that depth and you've not only lost the locker room and you've not only lost the fan base. Oh, and this is back during the blackout era too, right? Like, this is back during where if you they kicked this rule out. The FCC banned this rule in like 2012. But it used to be, if you don't sell out your games at home, sorry, it's not on TV. You want to watch it? Go buy a fucking ticket. That's what the NFL used to say to their local fans. If you did like Jaguars games, Raiders games, those games that had a hard time selling out, they were really like Lions too. They had a really difficult time keeping fans interested because literally no one would go to the games because they sucked, and you couldn't watch them because they wanted them to buy tickets. Basically, like, the Lions were at the lowest of the low. Like, that was where the Lions were. For him to come in and give you faith, and for him to come in and not only like have the measurables appear, but dude, he had the arm. Dude, he had the like make the best out of a bad situation written all over him. But that situation was just way too bad for him to overcome.
Well, and then they got rid of, like, there is just some horrible things that management do. And I said this about Watson. I'll say it now. He needs to get out of there, dude, because they're just going to drive him into the ground, just like Stafford in the Lions.
Texans,
same thing. It's the same thing.
They're doing the same shit right now. Do you remember that the Lions took three years in a row, 04, 05, 06, maybe 03, 04, 05, one of those two. They took a wide receiver in the first round 3 seasons in a row. And people look at that roster like, how is this roster this bad? Well, how about being like 3 years in a row in the draft? Yeah, wide receiver sounds good.
Well, and fortunately for Stafford, I think because now he's going to get traded. It's just a matter of when and where. There's a lot of good spots for him. Washington's my spot. That's where, because
that's yours and I's spot. We both like the most.
It goes to. We talked about the Jags earlier about a team with cap space. Washington has cap space, and they got a lot of talent on that defense. So and they got picks, but I'm assuming their picks will drain now because of Stafford if they decide to go that route.
They're a quarterback away, I think. Yeah, I think they're a quarterback away.
Dude, you just took the words right. That's exactly what I was. They're a quarterback and probably one receiver, but not not a high caliber. Like Curtis Samuel would get the job done.
That would be someone that they should absolutely think about. I think that maybe like with receiver, it's interesting because it's really advantageous to have different types of receivers, right? Like, you know, you want a guy that can win one-on-one battles. You want a guy that can burn past the corner. Like, I mean, McLaurin is a burner. That dude's got speed. Dude. That dude's got wheels. So, like, ideally, yeah, you get a guy on the outside or, oh, my God, how about this? I mean, this would be the dream scenario for Washington. If you can somehow, some way do some sort of package in order to get Matt Stafford, maybe send next year's first round pick. Hang on to your pick hang on to it for dear life. Try your hardest. Like I said, this is just an ideal situation. Sucker another team again. Move up 5-6 spots. Kyle Pitts. It's over with.
Well,
It's
and tight end,
over with.
well,
Quarterback and Kyle Pitts.
the thing about Pitts that I like, he's not he's not your traditional tight end. He's pretty much a wide receiver. He for a while for the Ravens, because I was very uncertain of where we were going to go pick at.
You can't take another tight end,
dude. Well, my thing is like I think we could, because there's not a team that throws the tight ends more than us, and him and Andrews would have been something. But there's a guy that I like while we're on the subject.
Yeah.
You know Brevin Jordan from Miami?
Absolutely. Big body. He'd be perfect. Big body. He really wins one-on-one battles really well too. He wins one-on-one battles like a receiver. He's going to get lost in the fray a little bit, because I think two guys are going to get a lot of attention at tight end in the draft. Obviously Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts honestly might not fall past 5. Like if a team sees him, and I totally would not put it past a GM to fall in love with this guy on the spot. Like to watch his tape and be like, oh my God, what do I have to do to get this guy?
Well, dude, going back
he's a freak.
Going back to the Lions, dude. When did Ebron go? Like
they can't take another tight end in the first round. Plus, they have Hawkinson, and Hawkinson blossomed.
Legit.
Hawkinson blossomed.
I'm just saying, like if Ebron went 5, bro, because I remember what Ebron was like when he was a prospect. He was
I think he went 7.
Dude, even 7.
Yeah, 7. Yeah,
even 7's high for him. But Kyle,
the record is 6. No tight end has ever been taken in the top 5.
He's even Kyle Pitts is one of the best. The only prospect I really liked at tight end not more than Kyle Pitts, but in recent memory was Mark Andrews, dude. And we scooped him. Yeah. I know you're a big OU guy, but he was getting Kelsey comparisons, and he goes a little.
I thought he could have been even better in college, and he was a stud. He was supposed to be the next.
The thing I'll say about Mark is, man, he's either hot or he's cold, and that's he has tight ends usually get better with age. But yeah, I think Pitts is the way. But Stafford, man, I think it's football team, Niners potentially. Belichick would love him.
Well, here's a team. How about this team? And I think there's a couple routes this team could go at quarterback, including staying with their current quarterback. What does Carolina do?
Yeah,
Carolina is interesting, right? Carolina, I don't think is in as dire straits as some people believe they are. I'm not saying they're going to come into next season and, oh my God, look, they're going to take the league by storm. I'm not saying that. I think that some people, though, think that the sky is falling in Carolina, and I don't necessarily believe that's the case so much as the naked eye would perceive it. They started out the season, 3-2 this season? And then I think they went 1-10 down the stretch. Obviously not good.
And a lot of this is McCaffrey. Like McCaffrey wasn't even there the whole year. But I think Carolina's in a good spot, similar to Jacksonville. And I
really believe they have the right coach too. I firmly believe they've got the right coach.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Yes. And I think they're very similar, Carolina and Jacksonville, meaning because both of their respective divisions. If you go over to Jacksonville, the Colts, Rivers retired, so now they got to find the most important position on the field, whether they want to go, Breeze retired, whether they want to go for Stafford. So, the Jags, if they really play their cards right, there's one team. Houston's a dumpster fire. Like, you don't have to worry about them. They're going to be last in the division. Yeah. So it's a matter of the Titans. And the Titans can be beaten because Corey Davis is up for contract. Jonnu Smith might be up for contract.
Their defense is invisible.
Desmond King's up for contract. So now it's like going back over to Carolina. Drew Brees just retired. The Saints are still a talented bunch, but do you let Jameis? They just have some. And dude, they are in cap hell.
That purgatory. Bad cap situation.
They have a Super Bowl team in their division, but Brady. I'm a big Brady guy. Time's taken.
You don't think there's possible there? You don't think there's any way possible he does it after next year? I think he's back next year no matter what. But after that,
I think
he's got to be done.
He's 43 right now.
He'll be 46 in the 2023 season.
I think at most he has 3. At least he has 2.
3? That just sounds so crazy. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you though. I think it's so possible.
And I think it all depends on what team you put around him. You know what I mean? Like Big Ben, I think the Pittsburgh. Again, it pains me to say this, but I think Pittsburgh could have made a deeper run if they had a run game. You know what I mean? You got to be able to move that ball. I mean,
No
the
run
fact that
game at
Brady
all.
threw for 40 touchdowns, and he's probably in the best scenario he could be in. I mean, a top 10 defense, Godwin, Brown. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Amazing.
But, yeah, dude, 46, I don't think it's crazy to say that.
This is what constantly beckons the AFC North when I think about it, okay? There's obviously 4 teams in each division. 3 teams in that particular division at least seem to have their quarterback situation figured out. We all know the one that does not. That is the team that won the division this year. That's the team that has like the. I mean, I think even though you're a Ravens fan and are obviously going to be naturally biased, I make no problem saying that I think the Ravens probably have the most talented roster in the division.
Well,
I don't know how widespread that it is because the division is good. What matters long term is your quarterback situation nailed down?
I mean,
There's one team that says no to that question right now.
I don't want to sound biased because, I mean, like outside of Kansas City, but like I'm just talking from like a on the paper, like not team success, just when you look at the roster. I think the Ravens have the most talented roster in the NFL. Have we not been able to capitalize on that? Unfortunately. But
we've seen this with Greg Roman before, though, and like I know that's your guy, right? Like, you have a love-hate thing with Greg Roman. He was my OC. He was my OC too.
I've told myself I was gonna just let it play out, so that's what I'm gonna do.
He was my favorite team's OC, and like you draw comparisons when you naturally think about it. It was Kaepernick. He kind of took the league by storm, and Greg Roman was the offense coordinator. Some people forget that happened, and they're like, "Oh, makes so much sense." Well, yeah. I mean, he's found a way to make it work before.
Well, and this is my whole consensus on Greg Roman.
Lamar is a lot better than Colin Kaepernick, though. Let's not make any mistake.
And Tyrod Taylor, like he's probably the most athletic guy at the position. So I mean, this is what I have come to terms with as a fan, as a football fan. Period. Mm-hmm. I'll give him one more year as a fan, because you know what? He was assistant coach of the year last year. He gave us.
You're talking about Roman. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're talking about Roman, right?
Roman, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I'll give him one more year because I mean, again, we were a historic rushing offense. And I've had my different critiques. We can't be the 32nd passing offense. I'll give this guy one more year because he's earned that. But if we go next year, which I'm very confident we'll be there, if we fall short again, like I think at least you got to go to the AFC Championship. If you don't, dude, a change got to be made.
I think it's a tricky situation though, right? Because when you set mandates like that, this is what people don't see in the NFL sometimes. When you become a team that is a perennial playoff team, your expectations get heightened. The feeling of losing in the playoffs feels like missing the playoffs. When you're in the playoffs every year, losing in the playoffs feels, especially when you were one and done, feels like you missed them altogether. Like it doesn't feel like you accomplished anything. That's what I was going to say earlier about the Bills. Like yeah, they had a tremendous season out of nowhere. How many times do the Bills have to hear losing in the AFC Championship game to give a shit about any of that? Is my thing though. They don't care about effort or value like anymore. Like they want rings. Well, and I think that's kind of like the sense of any fan, right? Like that's all we want is rings. But here's the thing. The sky is falling and a change has to be made. And I know you're the Ravens fan, but if I'm the fan of this particular football team, a change has got to be made if the season ends next year and we are still bottom in the league in passing. If the passing has changed and you see and there's noticeable, like this is what we've been waiting for, but they still lose in the divisional round, then what do you do? Well, that's what I mean when I say a mandate is tricky.
Again, like my feelings on this change every single day. So at first I was talking like, dude, fire this guy, and then the emotions calm down, and you're like, you know what? You get in the situation like, okay, well, if we fire him, like, who do we bring in? I was a big guy on I think James Urban, who's our QB coach. I wanted him because he works well with Lamar. Lamar likes him, but you know what? Roman, again, he was your offensive coordinator. He's never finished top 10 in passing yards. And look, passing yards, I think they're a very overrated stat. But truth be told, as a Ravens fan, when Lamar drops back, man, it doesn't look.
It's not that he can't throw.
Oh, dude, that's not the problem at all.
It's not.
It's not the problem that it's going back to what I said earlier. The situational awareness, bro. Knowing look, when we come to the line of scrimmage, you can go back and watch our games. Very often when we come to the line of scrimmage, there will be like 6 seconds. You got to give your quarterback – look, and Steve Young said it. There's a great clip of Steve Young talking about it. It's a two-way street.
Mhm.
It's Roman's fault and it's Lamar's fault. Just because I'm blaming this 100% on Roman doesn't mean Lamar can't get better. And that's why I'm assuming you saw I've been a big Jordan Palmer fan in the past couple of weeks.
He's good.
He needs to go work with him. And
Every
Lamar,
time he opens his mouth, I come away thinking like, yeah, that sounded really smart.
and Lamar has said this. He doesn't watch other quarterbacks. He has his own quarterback coach, Josh Harris, who he works with back home in Florida. But period, end of story. He needs to start. Am I here by myself now? Okay, well, I think I'm here by myself now, but I'll keep going. Period, end of story. Lamar needs to start working with a guy like you left me for a second. Oh, I can't hear you. Kick me out. That's a thing. Is your mic working? Your mic's just a little low. Can you hear me at all? I can hear you, but it's very low. It's good. I'll just ramble while you figure this. Still, I can't hear you at all. But while you're good, while you're fixing that, I'll just ramble. You're good. So look, Lamar needs to work with a guy. He has a guy back home in Florida where he works with. But he has no NFL experience, and this is why I urge him to go work with a guy like Jordan Palmer, who's been in the league, who has seen this. His work's clearly effective. He went and worked with Josh Allen this past offseason, and Josh Allen just had a career year. So I hate the notion that Lamar can't throw a football because, dude, I've seen him throw some footballs that are spectacular. He has very quick release, and he can throw 50 to 60 yards like flick of a wrist. But I really just want him to take on more at the line pre-snap, just knowing how to read defenses, knowing when to check down, stuff like that. But it's nothing that he can't do. I have all the faith in the world. The mic is still – it's unbelievable. Oh, I can hear you a little bit. I don't know what happened.
A little bit here. Well, I mean, I can turn the.
Oh wait,
can you hear me better now?
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, I think a lot of what you said is very paramount to what he does going forward, right? Like the line of scrimmage is such a mind fuck if you know how to use it correctly. Like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Brady too. Like these cadences that they go into, they almost turn into themes at times. Like Leonard Floyd for the Rams. Now, I mean, I think he's going to be a Charger within a couple of months, if you put 2 and 2 together there. Defense coordinator going to the Chargers, I mean, you just got to walk across the hall. Makes sense.
Right.
But if you've got guys that literally right whenever he's trying to get you on the cadence, to get you to draw you off sides, and he doesn't do it, and the first thing they think of is, you can't get us. You can't get us. You're pretty good at it, though. I mean, like, having that skill, whether it's just drawing guys off sides or like what, keeping the defense off balance is just, it's monumental. And because any advantage, Mike Lombardi said it on Hammer Don the other day, and it was an absolute perfect personification as to Aaron Rodgers and how good he is and how in command he is. He cannot catch you with your underwear showing before the snap. What does that mean? Like this was before the Rams game, and so this is what he meant when he said that. You can't have Aaron Rodgers see your underwear before the snap happens. You can't mirror Devontae Adams with Jalen Ramsey. Like you can't make it overly obvious what is going to happen coverage wise to Aaron Rodgers before the snap, because he's got you by the balls. He's got you like right there. I think, we talked about the NFC title game earlier. I think Tampa did a really good job today of doing exactly that. They didn't show Aaron Rodgers what he wanted to see before the snap.
Well, but look, Baltimore, again, I've been a fan my whole life, and quarterback, I promise you, has not been the staple of our franchise.
No.
You have a 24-year-old dude who is just a freak, man. Like, he is just insane with the plays he can make. But there's an issue, and it's a very clear issue. And I don't know if it's the organization lacking trust in his arm, because they shouldn't be. Because, again,
they shouldn't. You've got to trust him 100% if you want to see him grow.
And again, we're never – well, Steve Young, going back to what I was talking about earlier, he made a very good comment on him earlier. He said, I would have never been the quarterback I am today if the Niners didn't tie my legs together and force me to be better. just again taking on more pre-snap. I don't need Lamar Jackson to be a quarterback genius at the line like Tom Brady because, dude, there is not a look Tom Brady hasn't seen. You know what I mean?
Imagine showing up to practice and coach being like, "Hey, can you be like Brady a little bit today?"
Right.
Like even the best of the best would look at their coach and be like, "Are you kidding me? Like that's what you want me to do today?"
Well, and going back to Brady real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron literally said, I literally let him take the reins. Like he's coaching the football team. I'm not at some points. But look, Lamar, he's in a very, very precarious situation in his career. And this is probably the biggest offseason of his whole career because before he was on a rookie deal, and you can get out of a rookie deal.
He will be out of a rookie deal, I believe, in the next few months.
I don't know what the contract's going to consist of.
That's going to be so interesting.
I don't know.
I can't wait.
If I had to give my honest prediction, I think it's not that Mahomes 10-year deal.
It's all about that guaranteed money, though. It's all about that guaranteed money.
I think you give him the guarantee. I think he's earned that.
Well, yeah, it's just a matter of how much you give him.
And I think it's anywhere from because there's a lot of people that are talking about if Lamar doesn't have his legs, he's not a starting quarterback in this league. And I think that's an unfair assessment because I could say if Mahomes doesn't have his arm strength or if Tyreek doesn't have his speed, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
if like the elite guys don't have what they're elite at, yeah, they're not what they are in this league.
It's so poetic and it's so funny because you hear these things, oh, if Lamar runs, he's going to get hurt. We just put
Mariano Rivera didn't have his split seam fastball. Guess what? He's not the all-time leader in every category, as a closer.
It's so funny because, again, people are talking, oh, Lamar's going to get hurt if he keeps running like this.
That's my favorite, by the way.
Where did he get hurt last weekend?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I guess, like, practically speaking, the threat is there. But that's my favorite, too, is we exposed system quarterback guy tonight, like system quarterback fan that's just like, Brady's a system guy. Yeah, that was really proven right tonight. Yeah. And that guy sucks. And mobile quarterbacks, they're not sustainable guy. Yeah. They're becoming get off my lawn guy.
Going back to what you said, the future is bright in the AFC, and guys like Mahomes, Baker, Allen, Lamar, what do they all have in common? You know what I mean? They all extend plays. They use their legs.
They at least have the ability to.
And that is crucial as a quarterback because NFC, Jared Goff, if his first read isn't there, dude's toast.
Play's done. Play's over with. And that's a problem, and I think McVay's now realizing it. And that may not have been. And look, that coaching staff wasn't even in place when Goff was drafted, so it's not really an indictment on them. But it's also like, how could any coaching staff in 2015, when they're properly examining and trying to evaluate Jared Goff and what his NFL career is going to look like, how could they anticipate the game changing into what it has in between 2015 and 2020? How they can't possibly anticipate like that first read thing, which is absolutely and 100% his downfall. That is the downfall of just about any offense in the league now, because what happens when that option isn't there? What's he going to do? Take off for a first down? No, he's not.
I think a lot of people, analysts, just people, football fans show their true colors when they're talking about Lamar Jackson. And again, I don't judge someone based off just one take, but Lamar, man, someone will offer you Josh Allen and Lamar. And after this season, I guarantee you the majority will take Josh Allen. And I respect it. It makes sense. But you have an opportunity to do something with Lamar that's never been done before. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he doesn't need to be an elite arm talent. He needs to be at least, if he can achieve 70% of what his arm can become, dude.
I feel like that's all you need.
As long as he can become, look, we're dead last in passing right now, but I think we're like middle of the table in it's like DVOA, it's like passing efficiency, because Lamar is not a guy who's going to be based on volume. He's not going to throw the ball like 30 times a game. But
it's not what that offense is built on.
Right. I think he's anywhere from 27. I think 27 is a sweet number for him. But I think if you can do something like Tannehill's doing over there with the play action, and they bite on the run.
You got to wonder, though, if that's going to come back. I think them losing Arthur Smith's a bigger deal than people make it out to.
I know Arthur Smith's pissed that he can't bring Derrick Henry with him. I know that.
Arthur Smith, I think Arthur Smith's going to fuck some shit up in Atlanta, man. I think that guy's smart. I think that guy knows how offenses work in this league right now. You need the guys. There's no doubt about it. You'd love to take Derrick Henry, strap him to your back. But, I mean, if he does have the guys, schematically.
And it does make me wonder because, like, I don't know what their draft's going to look like because, I mean, if you can get
a quarterback at 4, do you take Matt Ryan? You can't get rid of Matt Ryan right now. Matt Ryan's cap hits, I think, like $28 million just if you tell him to walk.
It depends who it is.
If you wait another year, I believe it's $10 million. So like if you've got to wait a year if that's going to be the route you take.
Personally, I'm a Zach Wilson guy. If he is there at 4, dude,
that'd be hard for me to say no. It'd be hard for me to say no.
You got to think about it, right? If you don't take him, who are you really like? Who do you take?
Yeah, and at that point, it kind of divvies down, obviously, to how things play out in front of them. The domino, there's always that one domino in every draft. Last year it really was because after Burrow, and Chase Young, which we thought was automatic. I think the domino was really 3 with the Giants. Well, the draft really started at 3. The draft starts at 2 this year. And it comes down to, obviously, the evaluation of Sam Darnold. And that's where all of the pundits will then have their fork in the road and either go the quarterback route or they'll go the Penei Sewell route or they'll go even the Devontae Smith route. I think there is, do I think that's the smartest idea for the Jets? No. I think Devontae Smith is an outstanding player? Yes. Do I think that football team really needs to take a wide receiver 2nd overall? Probably not the smartest thing you can do when you also have a pick at 20 as well.
And I'll tell you this, because this is probably the most intriguing offseason like in a while.
I agree. 100%.
You got everybody on the move like Deshaun Watson. Dude, he's a top 5.
I want to trade out of nowhere.
When is Deshaun Watson, or not Deshaun Watson, when is a top 5 quarterback ever going to be on the move again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Daniel Jeremiah, he just released his mock draft. He has Zach Wilson going at 2.
Mm-hmm. And that's picking up steam. I watched his tape the other day, and here's all I got to say. It's going to be really, really difficult. And this is just how the NFL works. It's going to be really, really difficult to have a situation where Zach Wilson comes out of a meeting with me, my GM, if I'm a head coach, my GM and my owner isn't looking at me at the end of it, whether he knows football or not. It's going to be very hard for that situation to happen and an owner not be looking at my coach like, Coach, I really like that guy because he went to BYU. He's not going to get in trouble off the field. And now let's talk ball, right? He's got the arm, check. Mobility, check. Leadership, check. Made the best out of it. Let's make no mistake about it. Made the best. How many guys on his team are getting drafted? None. He dominated with no one on the field around him. Check. I don't know about you, man. I'm looking at a piece of paper with a lot of boxes with check marks. Like, I think he checks every box. The more I watch him, the more I almost feel certain he's going to be a stud in the league.
I won't dare say it because I'm pretty sure draft Twitter would murder me. But I don't think I would be surprised at all. You know what I'm gonna say, but I won't be surprised. That's all I'm gonna say. Zach Wilson ends up being better than Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, better. I thought you said he was gonna go number 1.
Oh well, no, that's where I'm going to next. If this was any other year, like a Baker Mayfield, Darnold year, where it's a toss up for 1, it's clear cut Zach Wilson. But I mean, dude, Lawrence has been he's been the number 1 pick since he was a freshman. You know what I mean? So
it's hard to get out of that stigma, right? Like, could the Colts have ever taken RG3? Would they obviously that ended up working out very poorly for the Redskins. How do the Colts live down taking RG3? You can't. If they were to have taken RG3, that's what the Jaguars would deal with.
Well, and I was in I was thinking last year, right? Because I mean, last year was the first year where I really started looking at prospects and like breaking it down, like making my own mocks, stuff like that. So last year I was on the train of taking Chase Young first.
Oh, I didn't hate that idea at all. Just
because if Burrow comes, I mean, obviously we know what he looks like right now, but again, he got hurt, so we don't know. I mean, that could mean any sort of thing. I think he'll come back and be fine. But Chase Young was a guaranteed bona fide stud.
Yeah.
You couldn't miss out on him. Burrow could have ended up being a bust.
Those guys don't come around, right? Like, look, there are guys that where you're like, low floor guys are the ones that are valuable. Like the guys that were like, even if he doesn't become what we believe he can be, as long as he's not too many ticks below that, we're going to be all right. I think a guy, just to say, that stands out in my head that I think about right now, Kwity Paye, defensive end out of Michigan, that's a name that comes immediately to mind when I think of low floor. Like, we'll go high because, like, I can't see him sucking in the NFL. I can see him maybe not living up to being what he could be, but I can't see him being unproductive. Like, that guy will make sacks. No doubt about it. He's a freak.
You brought up the edge rushers because, like Chase Young, like he's one of a kind. Like
I agree with what you said about him too. Is what I just wanted to get at too. Is like, I thought he's the best player on the board.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well,
no doubt.
I mean, the quarterbacks are the quarterbacks, and I mean, the quarterbacks get special treatment, and we all know that. Like whether it's awards or draft, whatever. I mean, Saquon was the most talented in his draft. Everybody knew he was going to be a stud. Chase Young was the most talented in his draft. Everyone look, Chase Young is a guaranteed, and you knew this when picking him. He'll give you 10 years if he chooses to resign with you, and barring injuries, whatever the case may be. Like Myles Garrett is another one. But this year with the edge rushers, you don't have a clear edge one. There isn't a clear edge one. There's Gregory Rousseau from Miami. I like him a lot.
He opted out.
He did opt, and that's
a dynamic we've never had before.
One, I think if he would have came in this year and replicated what he did last year with being a 15 sack guy,
he's a top 10 pick.
Right. And
he's a top 10 pick, no doubt.
And you know how people are in the draft, man. They'll buy in and buy out like it's like no other. So Gregory Rousseau right now, everyone's kind of like questioning. And if he does for some reason fall, I would be all over that. I don't think he falls to 27 where my team's at. But I mean, I'm looking at guys like the kid from Georgia, Aziz, something like that.
Ojulari.
Yes.
Oh, there's another name you've thrown out on Twitter. And God forsake me being in the state that I'm in, just even speaking these words out loud. But when I watch this guy play, I just think, how the hell is he not a 80 tackle a year guy in the NFL? Joseph Osai.
Dude,
Joseph Osai, linebacker out of Texas. If he is not an 80 tackle a year linebacker in the NFL, something is seriously wrong. He's a freak as well.
Well, and this year, dude, I've had to look at the edge rushers more than like any other year because the Ravens are in a situation where our top 3 edge rushers are all hitting free agency. So it's like, who do you bring back? I don't think you let all 3 of them walk. No, because I mean that's just stupid. But I don't think it's a bad idea to come get one, put him on another direction
elsewhere. Yeah.
Well, because dude, Aziz, that's a guy. Ujulari, that's a guy that I'm looking at. The more I watch him, I just like the energy. It's funny too because when you talk about draft prospects, because they're college kids, whatever the case may be, you always hear undersized. And I think it's funny. He's 6'3", he's 6'3", 240, and they're labeling him as oversized. Dude, get him with an NFL coach. I promise you this dude will look like a bowler.
Here's the thing about this is what's so fascinating to me about the draft and always has been in the NFL, the NBA. Guys like Rousseau are a perfect example. He didn't play this year. Wasn't an injury. It was something that's kind of off the book, something that is kind of an anomaly. Globe-wide pandemics, very much so an anomaly. Don't happen every year. They're not a normal thing. So this is not a normal situation as a result. You watch the kid on tape and it's just like, here's the pop, here's the flash, here's the speed, here's the bend. It's all there. Like it's all like, wow. All right. He stands out. Not playing for a year. That enters a GM's mind. There are potential character issues with him too and look, those are cut and dry. Those are sometimes rumors. They exist, though. Look, if I'm an agent and they just so much as exist, that's a problem. Whether they're true or they're not, that's just alone in and of itself. Whether that's fair, it's just a problem. Dak Prescott doesn't go in the 4th round if he doesn't pick up a DUI the week of the combine. That's just a fact. He probably goes in the 2nd round to the Vikings. You know what I'm saying?
Like, absolutely.
Like these guys fall because of things like that. Matthew.
Dude, he's a guy I wanted, and he just smoked weed in college and ended up in the 3rd.
Yeah.
When he was probably a top 10. Probably.
Yeah. Hey, NFL owners, weed really makes you a bad football player. Tyrann Matthews the example. Calvin Johnson's the example. But
Percy Harvin.
Oh yeah, dude, Percy Harvin is so good. I was just about to say this about the draft though. So that all goes through a GM's head. All of these potential things, all of these I don't know for sure things, all of these like, oh wait, I don't know this for sure. My job's on the line. Like, and that's when pressure kicks in. And then it all comes worse when the phone rings and someone wants to trade up. And someone's telling you someone's interested in trading down. It's all a whirlwind. And that's what's so fascinating.
I think the Jags are kind of relieved. Urban, look, and this is why I have a feeling the Jags are going to be good. Urban Meyer wouldn't have picked that job if he knew that it wasn't a – look, Urban Meyer, more than any other guy, does his due diligence. He wouldn't have accepted the job if he knew that he wasn't having control of the roster, stuff like that.
And what would you say? What would you say to the people? Because everyone's favorite, there are a lot of people that have an agenda against Urban Meyer. I don't care one way or another if Urban Meyer does well or fails in the NFL. It doesn't change my life. I don't know how well he'll do. But what do you say to people that tell you, oh, we've seen the college coach thing before? Yeah, we have. We've seen it fail. In the past few years, we've seen it work. Pete Carroll, I don't know, won a Super Bowl. Kind of worked. It's not that every single time it doesn't work. It has worked.
I mean, it's not like you went to Ohio State and just he went to Florida too. Like he's been in 2 national championship programs. Like,
but had to resign because of stress.
Healthy.
And that's my only problem with Urban in the NFL. It's not about being a college coach and inspiring grown men. I think Urban Meyer can do that. I don't think Urban Meyer will have a problem with that. Like, say, Bobby Petrino, like where everyone in the locker room was out by week 5. Like, this guy ain't it. See ya. Like, that is not even close going to be the problem with Urban Meyer. The problem is going to be, what's Shad Khan going to think 2 years from now when he starts to get the feeling that, oh shit, is my head coach going to do what he did at Florida State and Ohio again? Because he's having migraines and he looks stressed out. And oh my God, I'm an NFL owner. I'm the embodiment of stressing these guys out. How's that going to work?
Well, and what so I don't know if they're even like, well, I'm assuming if me and you were talking about that, they definitely had to have brought up his health issues when they were in meetings. So I'm assuming he's in a good place health-wise. But what I do like about them, they're building a good staff over there. So, I mean, if he ever goes down, there's some guys who can take his spot. But
I got my questions about the GM job, but other than that, I do like his staff. I thought Trent Baalke was yikes. Yeah. But
one thing I do like about Urban taking this job, and we talked about it earlier, the $75 million cap, he's a great team builder. I think he has a great vision for where he wants his team to be, and he knows how his team can just win games. So I really think the most attractive job was the Chargers.
Chargers, no doubt.
But just because of
you've got Herbert.
You know what you got.
That's why it's the best job.
If Derwin comes back healthy, I mean, I said tonight that Tyrann Matthews is the best safety in the league, and I stand by that. But if Derwin comes back and plays full health and comes back
2 or 3, he's right there.
And he could argue with 1 because, dude, there's a guy like he changes games and
he's good. What about Jamal? What about Jamal Adams?
He's got to fix that coverage, and then we can talk.
Oh,
but I'm a bit. Dude, but he's definitely possibly top 3.
You think he's got problems in coverage? I don't think he's the best.
He's not the. I think a lot of it also goes back to I mean, dude, it's his first year in this new system,
right?
So I'll give him kind of some slack. But I mean, dude, he did what he was told to do.
He's getting up at the line of scrimmage, man, and playing like.
What do you have, 9.5 sacks?
That doesn't happen.
Like you can't take that for granted. Like that's a hell of a year. He just doesn't have the same responsibilities as a Tyrann Mathieu does, and that's good. Like he's doing what he needs to do. I mean, especially if they go get a guy like I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but a guy who can play center field safety, who can cover. He doesn't need to do that anymore. He can just play sub linebacker and just hawk the middle of the field and blitz when he needs to.
He'd be good at that. He'd be perfect at that.
But going back to the Jags, I think they're going to be good. I think they have going back to stress, period. I think that's a lot off their shoulders now because they know who they're taking. You know what I mean?
And how high could expectations realistically be right away? Like We're talking about an organization that was where they probably tanking, sure,
Dude,
but we're cool with Minshew as their guy. They were fine with it.
I don't think I think they'll shock some people, and I don't want to make any predictions yet, just because I don't know what the team is going to look like.
I think it's safe to say they don't finish worse than third in that division right away, just because of how bad Houston's going to be.
Well, they're not going last. I know that, unless
that's already a good start.
Unless Houston picks like the best third-round pick I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Right.
They got to nail like every single pick.
And then even next year, like they don't have a crazy amount of cap, or they're not projected to.
So they're in the red. Like that's bad. It's bad.
They have dug some serious hole, and I'm assuming JJ will ask for his way out soon enough. I don't know when it's going to be.
It would be absolutely. It wouldn't surprise me if Houston kept him for a couple of reasons, but at the same time, and this is going to sound weird. While it wouldn't surprise me, it is very dumb. Like it would be very, very unwise. But I could see why, just him being who he is. However, I say that because very simple. Whatever the first day of the new league year, I think it's when free agency opens. Yeah. So that's someday in March. The day free agency opens is technically the first day of the new league year. They have the option to release JJ Watt by that date. If they do, he goes and there's zero cap hit or zero cap penalty from the Texans, and they save $17 million. If they do not, that $17 million becomes guaranteed, and JJ Watt can leave next offseason. They can cut ties with him. Yes, you lose JJ Watt, but you save $17 million in cap, and you take no cap hit. How do you not release him? How do you not cut him? You have to cut him.
You're at the point, and I've read that, and I do hope
That's painful for the Texans, though.
I do hope they release him, because they just had I think it was their defensive line coach, Anthony Weaver, just came over to Baltimore. He's with us now, but look, JJ Watt turns 32 in March, so dude, he's not like he's gonna get any better. Like we know what JJ Watt brings to the table. So I mean, if he leaves,
Texans fans. Look, they're ready to move on to the new era, Russ. If you're a Texas fan sitting here right now, it's like, look, this is a bad situation. We need to get on to the next chapter, or at least begin it. And JJ Watt being cut, is that not like the final sentence, like the stamp, like the watch the person walk away as they're like at the window, like goodbye, like that's it. It's over.
And my question is, right, so you've seen, just imagine you're a Texans fan, right? You've seen the news of DeAndre Hopkins getting traded on your phone. You've seen Deshaun Watson requesting a trade on your phone. Like, is a JJ Watt trade or like release really gonna kill you?
Absolutely. If I'm a Texans fan, I say thank you so much for everything you have done. When I get that notification on my phone, it's like this is a sad moment. But it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. If you're the Texans and you are where you are, because what's having JJ Watt for one more year going to really do for your organization going forward? He's going to have about 60 tackles, and he'll be a leader on that defense. He'll complain a little bit to the media and tell everybody how the culture sucks, and he's gone. Or you can save $17 million in cap. I'm the GM. I take no time making that decision. Thank you, JJ, for all you've done. Give me my $17 million in cap. Well, I got to fix this team. I got to fix this roster.
Well, like you just said, like, say you decide to commit to JJ Watt, which is totally cool. If they decide to do it, then they've made worse decisions.
They have.
If they decide to commit to him, that's fine. But at what point next year, like how many games do they have to not win for him to be all right, dude?
He's gone no matter what. That next year's the last year of his deal.
He's leaving, regardless.
So he's gone. That's why you got to cut him now, in my opinion.
Or, you had to release him.
Unless you have to,
because JJ Watt's not
gone no matter what.
If he was a bit younger, I would start talking trade. But dude, I don't know how much value JJ Watt has at this point in his career. So
and look, I got to get out from underwater from the salary cap. And it's just like the Texans are the person that's walking the plank. All right. Like the Pirates are forcing them to walk the plank. They've got one choice. They either jump and they wait for that life raft to come save them, or a helicopter to see them, or you get back on the pirate ship and they stab you to death.
Dude.
But neither option is good. You've got to pick one.
Bill O'Brien has dug them a serious hole. And look, Tunsil, that was a whole thing in itself. And I know franchise tackles don't look. They don't just
you make that trade with the assumption that Deshaun Watson's going to be on your team.
Dude,
that's the only reason you make that trade.
Well, so they make that trade, right? And then not only do you make the trade, you make him the highest paid left tackle in football. And this is why I love my organization, right? Stanley took his deal. And I promise you, Stanley is miles ahead of Tunsil. And he could have broke and reset the market, but he didn't. Because he's not he's a team guy.
And I mean, you've got to know, if you're going to have a better chance to win a Super Bowl, if a few million guaranteed has to get docked off, look, if we've got to put ourselves in the position of the players, though, right? These new contracts are big deals, especially the first contract. That's the whole driving force. I got news flashes for some people. Some of these players that come into the NFL, no matter how hard it is for people to believe it sometimes, and they really some people don't grasp this. Some guys come into the NFL and they could give half of a fuck if they ever win a Super Bowl. Not quarterbacks, not leaders, not those guys. Second string running backs, practice squad guys. They are doing whatever the fuck they can to put themselves in position to get that second contract. That is the number one priority on a very large percentage of the young players in this league. Make no mistake about it. And so they will do things to put themselves over the team to put that position in place. When you have, though, like you said, Stanley, who knows that is in existence, and you have a quarterback that's going to have to get paid soon, it's in the best interest of not only you, but the team to, if you need to take a few million less, dude, do it. It's just that little bit, that the salary cap is a very tedious thing. You can only let so much drip out of it as you possibly can if you want to have the best roster possible. And that's why guys like Ronnie Stanley matter, because he gets that.
And there's a lot of guys, I think another guy who's going to get that, I don't know if we pay him. It's going to be tough, though, because he's Baltimore raised. He's grown up here his whole life. Orlando Brown Jr. It's a tough one. I think he really set his market this season because Stanley goes down unexpectedly. He moves to left tackle. So now he can play left tackle and right tackle. So, that says something in itself. He was a guy, you're an OU guy. He should have been a first rounder.
Love him, man.
And then he went down to the third. So, whatever they decide to do with him and Andrews, it's going to be tough. I don't know if they're on the wall. We might get lucky, though, because this cap, dude, it is I promise you, I dedicate myself every offseason to try to learn more about the cap.
Oh, it's a long road you go down when you start to learn about the salary cap. It's not the NBA, though. The NBA and their salary cap, dude, that's like a 16 weeks college class trying to figure that shit out. It's unreal. The NFL is it's got its difficulties to understand, but man, it is not the NBA.
Well, in the NFL, just because the Ravens, I'm reading the projected cap numbers, and I see 10 million, and then I post 10 million, and some guy puts, 10 million is just a projection. I don't even think we're going to be there after all the restructures, and I'm like, dude, you got my head spinning. Please, what do you mean?
He's a little bit right, but that's just kind of I feel like that's also kind of like Twitter guy that's trying to sound smart. If there's a projected number out there, it's definitely it's got to be in the ballpark.
Well, and there's definitely
it's not up there for no reason.
About salary cap in the NFL, there are so many loopholes. You can convert a guy's base salary to his signing bonus and save up money here, or you can backload a guy's deal. So there are so many different things you can do.
Especially when there's cooperation from both sides and willing cooperation from both sides. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think I wanted to touch on this for Deshaun Watson and the Texans. I understand you want financial security. Why in the hell did you sign that deal?
Yeah, dude. That's got to be what the Texans are saying, in rebuttal. That's got to be what they're saying. They've got to be the ones with their arms up okay, we can talk about whether we but look what's going to happen to us. You committed to this team. which he did. I mean, he did sign the deal. And do I blame him for wanting to leave? No. There was an interesting tweet Charles Robinson put out today where it's just like, guys, it's really this simple. Like if an owner lies to you and you're on every billboard in the city and you're on half of the football cards kids are wanting to get signed in the city, and you're the autograph every kid wants in the city. You're the face of sports now, undoubtedly in this city since James Harden walked out. Like, if you're that guy, do you think it's a little easy to just not lie? Don't you think I can just tell this guy the truth?
Well, it was easy for Houston for a while because their quarterback.
But that's not that hard, right?
Like, it's not. Well,
it's
not. That's what I'm saying. Going back to what I said, bad business. Like that's just bad business. Telling your quarterback that you want to get his input on the head coach. You can't even interview Bieniemy. Come on.
It's self-sabotage at the highest level. And it's back to the Easterby thing again, too, because it's just like, hey, maybe he's got an idea. Let's see what's Pope over there think? Like, what does he got a Bible verse that can help us out? Like,
dude,
the Chargers want to know.
They need Jesus over there.
It's like, did the let the Eagles know? Are they on the phone? Tell them Easterby said John 3:16.
And I know you talked about this earlier. We were talking in DMs, but Watson's agent, dude, that contract probably benefits him more than anything because the no trade is perfect because I mean they could say Watson, yeah, we're trading you to the Jets, dude. Nah, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're trading me to Miami.
Yes, he can say that in any given situation. I feel like, at least from what I've been reading, he would be open to a trade with the Jets.
Oh, yeah, I'm just...
I know. It's just a generality. But, yeah, he could shut any trade down that he doesn't want to.
I don't think... Because a lot of people look at the Jets and they're like, does he really want to go there? Like, you're going to go from the Texans to the Jets?
Joe Douglas is going to get that thing right.
Dude, even Saleh, like, he got overshadowed by Urban Meyer's hire. But that is probably my favorite hire.
I think it's arguably the most important hire, and here's why. Gate. What did we say about the Hopkins thing? Right, like that was one thing where everyone was like, "Hey, man, look, we're here. You're the football, but everyone, we all think dumb. Like no one thinks this is smart. It's the same deal with when they hired Adam Gase. Like I don't remember, other than Cowherd, and he blasted himself after the fact and was like, okay, I whiffed on this. Not one single human being said, I like that hire for the New York Jets. Not like when they hired Gase. Not a single individual.
Well,
and so when that happens, and then obviously it plays out, and everyone's like, oh, hey, look, everyone in the world saw this coming. And look, it happened. Almost anybody is going to be a great fit afterwards. Like, dude, I mean, they could have hired anybody, just about anybody, and it would have been fine. But Saleh isn't just anybody, and I think that's what you would have been alluding to. I mean, this is the guy that you want in the building after having a guy like Adam Gase just leave. Like, he's going to get everyone's attention the moment he walks in that door.
And there's another hire that I also like, and because the head coaching carousel, it was a little weird because everyone thought Bieniemy was clear cut for a job.
I still think he gets the Texans job. Should he take it? Should he take it? You said it on Twitter. No. I think he'll end up getting it.
And my whole thinking on that is, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs aren't going anywhere, dude. They're going to be right back in the mix next year at whatever their record is. They're going to win the AFC West, but he's going to be in head coach talks once again, and I guarantee
just wait one more year, man.
Dude, some jobs are going to open. Like, I think next year, Dallas could open potentially, depending on what they do.
When they have a shit year, Minnesota could open.
I don't think they dip out on Kingsbury yet, but they might if they don't make the playoffs.
That's Arizona. Minnesota, I think the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Zimmer.
Yeah, Zimmer could open. I think if the Cardinals, this is where no one's talking about them right now. I think that's kind of quiet in Arizona right now.
Damn right it is.
I think it is. And here's why. It's interesting. You're going into the Baker thing now with Kyler. Not necessarily with Kyler, because Kyler's proven he's legit. Okay. Like, I think I have always been of the belief Kyler's ceiling is 10 times higher than Baker's. Like, just because of his skill set. You can't be 5, dude. I don't care what any stat sheet lists him at. He's 5'10" if he's lucky. Like, that is a short guy. Kyler is a short guy. But oh my God, his talent is so far and beyond makes up for it. Like, but here's the situation now. You've got an offense and a guy that runs your offense that you not only bought into, you went after him. If you're Steve Keim, the GM of the Cardinals, you went after him for a specific reason. You stayed up late one night and saw Kyler Murray on film and said, I can't let this guy slip out of my fingers. I have to go make the head coaching hire that gives him the best chance. And the air raid offense, whether it was going to be in the NFL, is probably the best offense fitted for Kyler. It's had its speed bumps, and I'm getting my point. It's had its speed bumps. It's looked great at times. They've won games they shouldn't be winning, and they're right there. But you take a step back.
Well,
that GM and that owner, if you go 6-10, if you go 5-11, that's when the GM and the owner have the close conversation, and the owner is going, "Hey, whose fault is it?" The GM's like, "Me? Not me. That guy."
It makes me wonder, right? Because when you look at some of these offenses, like I thought Bieniemy would have had a lot of fun with some of these guys. Like, I thought he was perfect for. There were 2 jobs: Chargers and Atlanta, because they got weapons. I mean, Julio, Ridley, Keenan Allen, Mike Will.
Probably the 2 best rosters, like, in terms of ready to win.
And I think you're never going to match what you have over in Kansas City, but I think just in terms of like drawing up plays, play design, he would have loved that. But I'm starting to I'm trying to figure out why he's not getting a job. And I think this is my consensus on it. I don't think he's getting a job because I think people think he's the next Adam Gase. Meaning. So Peyton Manning pretty much made Adam Gase and made him the head coaching candidate. Is there a similar thinking with Mahomes and Bieniemy and Reed?
Possibly. Okay, I see where you're going.
That's my thinking on. I don't agree.
I don't either.
I think he'd be a fantastic head coach. He's, and I heard that whole thing of him not being a good interviewer. It's BS, dude. It's BS.
It is absolutely. It's absolutely a code for. I just didn't want to hire him, and I'm giving you a reason to cover my ass type of answer.
And it's making me wonder because what were there 7 openings, and there were some pretty good candidates. Like, I don't blame the Chargers for not wanting to hire Brandon Staley because he's an offensive and a defensive guy. He's X's and O's guy. So, I mean,
who's probably a bomb interview? Who's probably a phenomenal interview that didn't get a job and interviewed for at least 5 of them? And I can guarantee you he's a phenomenal interview, and no one's going to say it. Probably 2 or 3 jobs, actually, now that I think about it. Jim Caldwell. No one's going to say he was a good interview. And you hear anyone come out and say, like, yeah, we didn't give him a job, but he was a great interview, though.
Well,
yeah, funny how that works.
If I'm being honest with you, you know who I think should get the Texans job? Marvin Lewis. Lewis.
Dude, I wouldn't hate it. You want to talk about a guy that's got no problem being patient? I mean, yeah, there's your guy. You're gonna have to be patient if you take this job.
I'm saying this now. I couldn't even believe when I read across my phone, Josh McCown was interviewed for. If they hire Josh McCown, they're going 0-16.
They're going to be in that realm. Like, and we say this kind of unfairly. Like, right, Josh McCown, he could be Lombardi. We don't know that.
Right.
Do we have a strong inkling that maybe, and he probably won't, and that, he just got out last year, and is he even on a coaching staff right now? Is he coaching in the league right now? I don't know the answer to that.
So. I don't. I think he needs to take the Kellen Moore route and just go be an OC. Because I'm not saying he can't be a good football brain, but I don't even think Josh McCown likes the idea of taking this job because this job is setting a lot of people up for disaster.
Here's my question for Josh McCown. Josh McCown walked in a room that I was in right now, and I had to ask him a question. Hey, dude, how do you still like football? You've gone through so much shit in your football life. How do you still like football? How has it not, like, it was crushing watching last year's Eagles game, okay? Just like from his perspective. Imagine being his family. You've paid your dues. You've been in the league for 20 years. He had 2 seasons in which he had an over 500 record as a starter. As a starter. The year with the Jets, which no one saw coming. When he was never going to get a follow-up contract no matter what, because when they went into that season, it was like, oh, yeah, Josh McCown's our quarterback. And by the end of it, it was like, wow, Josh McCown was our quarterback. He was great, but he's 37. Who's our next quarterback? Like, that's what the mindset was. And so when his career ended, and he had never taken a playoff snap. I got to sneeze at some point, and it's coming. But, like, he had never taken a playoff snap. And for it to go the way that he did, and he was on one leg. And he gets in there after and, like, in the press conference, and he's like, I'd never played in a playoff game. You would have liked to have had that one opportunity, like, and actually have been at 100%. And you're just like, I'm sorry for what football has done to you, bro. Like that's a guy that the league really chewed up and spit out, in my opinion.
Josh McCown, like, I think there's a lot of guys who could have hated football, but in there many years he could have retired, but he didn't. And I mean, it's the love of the game at the end of the day. I mean, he played.
There did no favors for him other than pad his pockets.
Right, exactly. So I think he definitely wants a career in football. I think probably the best route for him is definitely to take a Kellen Moore. I mean, he wouldn't have interviewed for a head coaching job if he didn't want to be there. But I think the best route for him, take the Kellen Moore, go be a OC somewhere, because he's definitely a football brain. And there's a lot of guys that are like that who didn't really do it on the field, but definitely have the smarts. You know what I mean? Like Jordan Palmer's one. We mentioned him. Kellen Moore, like I'm saying. I mean, he's one of them. So I think he could go fit in somewhere. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an intriguing offseason. And man, I guess there's one more job. There's one more job to fill, and it's the Texans. And I feel bad for whoever takes that. I feel so bad.
So it says here, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here. It's been an awesome podcast. We had great conversations. It's going to be an awesome off season, but I am trying to fact check and find the answer to our question.
We'll be back here at some point during the off season.
Oh, dude, absolutely. He is currently, I'm looking for what McCown's doing. Don't tell me he's on the roster. Is he on the roster? And they interviewed him to be head coach?
Shut up.
I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this right.
It
just says career. All right, because I'm looking at Wikipedia and I'm going to go to Football Reference because they would be the ones that know. If he is on the roster,
dude.
No, it doesn't say here that he was, but it lists him on Wikipedia as a member of the 2020 Houston Texans. He is not on this box score here, though, on Football Reference. What did he do?
He was on the practice squad.
So he was on okay. Well, that explains that. And they interviewed him to be head coach.
He signed. It's bad.
Head coach.
He signed with the Houston Texans off the Eagles practice squad early November.
November? He wasn't even there all season?
Wow.
They interviewed this guy to be head coach.
Look, I thought that was bad at first. Now I just realized that. I didn't even realize that.
No, that takes it like 30 levels higher on the day.
I feel like, and again, I don't even know if he interviewed for it. Let me check if he interviewed for it.
Oh, no, he did. He interviewed for it.
I'm talking about Marvin Lewis. That's the guy.
Yeah, he did. Okay. But they interviewed everybody. Like, they interviewed Matt Eberflus. They interviewed Caldwell twice. But apparently it's down to Bieniemy and Leslie Frazier.
Wait a minute. Marvin Lewis isn't coaching the NFL this year.
Oh, really? It's hard to sell that as a hire.
Marvin Lewis,
how do you sell that to your fans?
As special assistant to Coach Herm Edwards. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought he was the best candidate just for this reason.
He seems like a great coach. It's just, I've got a hard time selling that hire to my fans.
I don't think they have a choice at this point to sell. I mean, they're lucky to get a coach.
It doesn't matter. Like, fans will quiet down when you win games eventually, but you've got to really believe the guy that you're hiring can do that.
Well, and he played with some pretty bad teams over in Cincinnati, and that's why I thought he was the good guy for this job. So I think he could rattle off a win or two because, I mean, if you're a Texans fan and the schedule drops, like, what are you ideally looking for? You're not looking for
the end of the season. Like,
right. That's what I'm
you're
saying.
looking for the season to be over.
I don't
Texans
think
fans can't wait for next season to be over already, because then they can be like, "Oh my God, we find a first round pick. Look, a second round pick. We
Dude.
have those."
Oh my God.
Yeah, they don't have a 2.
People give up first. Like the Seahawks just gave up some first, and I get it. They gave up a
Well,
big
to go get Adams and
Adams, right?
the picks were going to be like what, 26. They gave up 2 firsts though.
Right. So, but I mean, like it's gonna pay off. Like Jamal will be there, and you see. But Tunsil,
And Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills was in that trade.
oh Jesus,
Yeah,
he's not even on the team anymore.
I know.
Well, and then you go on the right side of the line, and this is all just to protect Watson. And I think I've seen Watson get sacked more than any other quarterback, maybe besides Wentz.
They took Titus Howard the year before, the tackle out of Alabama A&M. Well, yeah, he had a bad season. He showed really good signs at first. They took him in the first round. And I remember Kuiper being like, and look, Kuiper is what Kuiper is. You know what people think about Kuiper is what it is. I mean, he was like, I had him as third round, maybe. Like, this has now been a thing for a while. With the football team, the Washington football team, that organization has been under a dark cloud, and dysfunction fits them well. And same with the Lions, right? Like those are 2 dysfunctional organizations when you think about football. As we said earlier, the Texans have taken that torch. Like they have done nothing but show us in the past 2 weeks the very reality that they have, and that is Cal McNair, the team owner. He didn't do anything to get it. He didn't do a goddamn thing in his life to earn it, other than just so happened to come out of, rest his soul, Bob McNair's balls. That's the only reason he owns the Texans. So when that happens, and we've seen it before, when you've got a kid that's like, oh, me? I'm in charge? Oh my gosh, here we go. Sometimes they wake up one day and go, oh my God, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. What do I do?
Well, dude, I'm going back to this 2019 draft where they take Titus Howard, right? So they take Titus Howard at 23rd overall. After him, they chose Josh Jacobs, Hollywood Brown, Montez Sweat. So then they get down to the second round, and this is where it gets kind of horrible. They take Lonnie Johnson and Max Sharping. After that, Nicole Hardman, DK Metcalf. Dude, that's bad. Mm-hmm. But I do want to, before we get out of here, I got some serious Redskins fan, or pardon me,
football. It still happens to me all the time.
Dude, who did? I think was it Al Michaels did it? I think he said Redskins or twice during the broadcast.
I think everybody did. I can't think of a Washington game I watched this year in which someone didn't accidentally say it. I mean, it's gonna happen.
I still refer to that sometimes just because
it's not like an actual thing. It's just what we've called them our whole lives.
I'm so glad that they've moved on from the BS, because I have some serious fans or friends who are fans of them.
Dude, yeah, they're in that area.
I remember when Bruce Allen walked out for the end of the year presser last year, and he says, "We got culture." Do you? Because I don't think you do. Because Jay Gruden might be one of the worst coaches in recent memory. And I feel bad. Look, Dwayne Haskins, right? I feel so bad for this guy because he was literally drafted to fail.
He was.
And now people are coming at his character, doing all this and that. Dude, Dwayne Haskins, people can say what they want because he went to a strip club. He's a good person, and he honestly probably landed when he got released. I mean, people make the strip club jokes. I do. But it's because it's funny. But I thought Pittsburgh was the best spot for him.
Here's the thing, and dude, I think Tomlin is gonna sit down with him. But here's the thing: it's his prerogative to do what he wants, right? But it's also like the whole when you're a quarterback, there's these different. It exists. While I still though feel for him from the if he were to stand there and be like, does that mean I can't live my life? No, Dwayne, it doesn't mean that. Not necessarily. However, you want 500 million guaranteed? You got to sign up for a couple things. You got to sign up for a couple things that other guys don't. All right. Like, he knows that. Not only on top of that, I believe he could have made it work. I believe Haskins thinks he could have made it work. Here was my initial red. There were 2 red flags because I whiffed. I thought Haskins, even though I had my affinity for Kyler and I even liked Daniel Jones, I thought Haskins had the highest ceiling of the quarterbacks in that draft, just solely because of the arm. I thought he had the prettiest deep ball I'd ever seen a college quarterback throw. Going into the draft, I said Dwayne Haskins throws a prettier deep ball than anyone I've ever seen in college football. Like that's something that matters. However, the number one red flag where I in that split moment was like, oh man, this kid could be in trouble, was when Bill Callahan took over as interim coach after they fired Gruden, and he still went with Keenum and wouldn't start Haskins. That's a huge red flag to me because it's like, okay, he's really not ready. Like, because if you're 0-5 and you've got your coach out and now new guy comes in and you're still not willing to turn the page, and that means you're looking out for the kid. That means, if you put him on the field, he's going to throw 3 interceptions. And what does he do when they threw him out in the field for the first time? He threw 2 picks in the first half.
Well, and then he also gives you these little moments like, dude, when a quarterback is trash in the league, when a quarterback, it doesn't.
You can tell pretty quickly.
But Haskins, like, he gives you these little glimpses of like, damn.
He played really well the last 4 games of the season last year.
I can remember the Packers game. He gave them a game. He gave Aaron Rodgers a game, and I'm pretty sure it was in Lambeau. But the game this year was a little off. Rivera, more than anybody, he's a no BS guy. But so I remember the game he went out and they benched Haskins was week 5 against us.
Mm-hmm.
He put 300 up against us, and then he got benched. So I think, if the strip club incident never happened, I think he probably would have ended up staying there. But my overall point I was trying to make, dude, the football team, they have a bright future.
I agree with you.
If they play their cards right. Because
being in that division helps.
Oh, absolutely. And Terry McLaurin probably advanced that process. Because, dude, the offense, the situation I'm in as a fan, I'm looking for a wide receiver 1. They already got theirs. Now all they need is the complementing piece.
Hell, if you can get a wide receiver 1 and even make McLaurin your wide receiver 2, who hates that situation?
Right. And
if you just stumble into it because you don't expect it.
Really and truly, the thing that launched them to the next level, probably. Well, no, the defense, man.
Montez Sweat, they nailed that pick.
I remember he fell for some reason.
It was okay. It was it him or was it? It was Simmons with Tennessee that had the thing that. And of course, this is what we really got to get out of here. But this is the last thing we'll say. This is what really breaks my heart on draft day or draft week. The Laramie Tunsil type thing.
Gas mask.
Where somebody's got dirt on them and they're waiting for the draft just so they can ruin their lives in one tap. Oh, dude, yeah. That's always something to behold.
Yeah, before we get out of here, there's one thing I want to say, and then we'll leave. But the character issues thing that always happens on draft day, and I'm probably in the minority here. You always got to just stick with your gut. There's been guys like Willie Gay, Tyrann Mathieu, Tunsil. I think
you got to follow the board. I think my philosophy would be to follow the board. However, that being said, there have to be reasons and examples to take players off of your board completely. Like if Jamarcus Russell would have been off of my board in 2006. Like before it, like no matter what, like if I find out he doesn't love football, he's off my board. You're off my board.
Well,
I can't draft you.
That's a red flag because even Kyler was almost off my board when he said he was almost more passionate for baseball, but then he kind of redeemed himself.
His talent might be the only exception because I don't know if I can take him off of my board.
I don't think I would take him off my board, but I think I might have put him down. But
maybe moved him down.
If he doesn't have the love for football and might switch over to baseball, but you have to get that 100% like
someone else is probably going to take him anyway. Yeah, but I'm moving him down.
Right, absolutely.
No, I agree with you.
I guess we can.
It was a pleasure. This is great. Well, I'm sure we will talk again soon. There will be multiple podcast coming out soon, draft oriented and draft related. This is where my podcast really heats up these few months. I'll do mock drafts. I always do. It's an exciting time. You got anything else you want to add, bro? Good to talk to you.
Oh, absolutely, man. We'll stay in touch, and man, I'm ready for this offseason. I guess we'll get to this Super Bowl in 2 weeks, and I mean, dude, I'm really looking forward to. Like, I love the regular season; it's my favorite, but the offseason,
hot stove. It's about that time,
right?
It's about that time, and we're gonna be here to follow and talk about it, all the above. You've been listening to the Bottom Line Podcast. Go ahead, subscribe wherever you're at. So, Anchor, YouTube, whatever route you take. This has been the Bottom Line for my man Blake Ramey and I. We will see you next time.